Okay, can you guys hear me well? I really feel like Britney Spears right now, like the corporate Britney Spears with this little thing here. I love that my speech comes after Anthony because of the use what you learn, which I think is an amazing segue, I hope, because it's really inspiring to that. So I'm going to talk about some things I learned by being at the head of the table, leading groups to deliver solutions for problems that are very complex, to build solutions that doesn't exist yet. So everything that I share here, it doesn't come from books, it comes from knowledge from my own experience, because that's from where I can actually speak from, right? Of course, I've been reading things and been investigating things, but I tried to build this as genuine I could, so we could all relate, because I think I'm speaking about some human truth here when it comes to face things for the first time. Solve something never served before. Lead people if you have a company, if you have a group. It doesn't matter if you're a dancer, if you're in a corporate world. And that's me. That's why I am most of the time when I'm doing what I do. And it's a very vulnerable place to be, right? If you think about you in a dinner where you sit at the head of the table, I don't know here, but in Brazil, people see you're going to pay the bill. As soon as you sit at the head of the table, who's paying the bill? The person at the head of the table, right? So it is a place of a lot of vulnerability and a lot of power as well. So for the people who don't know what I do, what Mesa is, I'm going to explain very quick. But we design a work experience to solve complex problems in 5 days. And the way we do it, it's by bringing talented people around the table to build a solution rather than just talk about the problem and deliver something very tangible at the end. And this is the method summarized in this very simple but powerful formula, which is a leader at the head of the table, someone who is 100% commit to the solution, not the process. I'm going to talk more about it. So a team with every single knowledge and skill that you need, and this is the heart of what we do, finding the right people with the right knowledge to solve a mission that is very tangible and that you have to really tackle by doing and making decisions by doing. So that's what I do. And that's the big promise that we make every time we go in front of a client or in front of people who want to do a Mesa. It's like, we solve the problem, which is a quite crazy promise. Every time I make that word, I'm like, what am I doing? How do I? Because I'm really not a specialist in the pharma industry. I never developed a product before, a medicine. How am I going to say, I can solve your problem? But we do. And the story I'm going to talk about it is that after 5 years leading Mesas and delivering results in every single Mesa, I failed. I didn't deliver one. And before I get into it, I'm going to show you, because I have a fucking horrible year that year. It was horrible. Like not delivering something. Think about you not delivering something that you're really committed to do it, you really believe you can do it, and you don't do it. I don't know how you experience that, but I want to get in a hole and just be like fetal position and cry. So I'm going to show the speech I gave, because I do end of the year. We do end of the year dinners at Mesa, and I was invited to do a speech to talk about how great that year was. And that's what I did. Just say that I can solve the greatest problems of the world. I have been trying to answer this question the entire year for myself and to the others. Because think about it, how brave and big is this promise that you're going to solve something that people have been trying to solve for so many years. Learning this method made me feel like that I can really do it. And learning this method also gave me the right tool to really do it. And this is great. So today I can really say that I'm committed to solve any problems around the world. So it really sounds brave and sounds big, but also sounds very arrogant sometimes, or maybe presumptuous. This commitment of solving, it's about moving away from the fear of not solving it. We always share, we all around this table share this. But the most precious things that I had this year, that I learned this year, is that it's only through humbleness that I can really, really do it. Humbleness is about not pretending. And the only way to solve anything in the world is when you don't pretend you have all the answers and you know everything, or that you're better than someone. Because you're not. We are not better than anyone. Every time you, as a leader, act and have that attitude that make you feel like better than anyone else, that make you feel that you know everything, and that make you feel that you have the answer, you're moving yourself way, way far to really solving that problem that you need to solve. It was an intense year for all of us, and we've been through a lot, good stuff, a lot of learnings, and I finished this year understanding who I am, and now answering my own questions. Who do I think I am when I say that I can solve the world's greatest challenge? I'm a person that is hunting every time to be more humble. And being humble doesn't mean that you are not excellent, that you don't know stuff, or that you can't really trust your guts to solve something. It means that you respect so much that you acknowledge in the others that they have the same. So you are the same. When you're at the head of the table, you're just a person there to help that group that is as good as you to solve that problem. So I just want to toast to humbleness, and that word can drive us throughout this year, because I think this is going to be the year of being excellent, but also being very humble. So that was it. And right after that video, COVID came, guys. So imagine like how much we had to practice this behavior. But I thought it was first weird to show a video of myself talking in a place where I'm also talking, but I thought it was important too, because I think it's more important, and I love that I'm facing myself, because I am today here in this place where I'm not there anymore, because I learned something, which is really important. But end of the game is like I did something. I didn't solve something that I committed to do. And for us, it is a big deal, right? For Mesa Company, the company that I'm partner of, you know, with my clients, and there is like impacts and then all this kind of stuff, right? So you have to live with that weight. But also for me, because at that point, I could swear that I had nailed this way of working. I was like, I learned this. I already know this. Like, it's not going to go wrong. And it did. And when it did, I was like, what do I do? Like, how can we promise such a thing if we have this right risk, you know, to face? To solve any problems, no matter how complex it is. Why are we making that promise? And again, isn't it the most egocentric things in the world? Are we putting ourselves in that position? And the answer is yes, but not really, because it can sound like that, but I think depends on how you approach, right? How you approach that kind of promise. So having failing, you know, for the first time led me into a pursuit to understand what I've done wrong. And I want to say that that's what I did with all this feeling. It took me a while to get all the failure feeling and move into action. And that was my first big learning. Like move from the pain and be like there, like kind of loving myself in my pain and say, okay, what do I do now? And really go into that investigation. So what have I done wrong? Which amongst all the million of decisions a leader has to make, I missed? And how can I help the new leaders that are coming to the company and joining us, or even learning to do this thing that we do, to not do the same? And this pursuit led me to what I'm going to talk about. And this is the first time I'm actually showing this to a group of people that is not us inside Mesa Company, just me and the people that we work with every day. So it's pretty cool that I, show that. And this is what we create. You can't read shit, but it's okay. You're not supposed to read everything, but this is the whole science, I would say. We've been developing this since last year, like with a lot of energy, and this is the science of it, which is what a leader needs to do, experience, and reflect in order to become really good at this thing about making this big promise, solve complex problems, create solutions that doesn't exist yet. So there are some territories that are important and some competencies that are also really good and really important for you to practice. And of course, this, isn't entirely applicable to everyone here. I don't know what you do, but I really found some things that are very universal to the human experience when you put yourself in that position, right? Even when you're working, when you lead yourself, because sometimes you're an artist and you don't have a team, and then you with your mind and your craft doing something, but there is a moment that you have to lead yourself to actually make something happen. So I think I collected some stuff that I think would be valuable for you guys here that decided to come and watch this. So if you want to solve any complex problems, if you're leading teams to deliver results, or if you're building something that doesn't exist, you might learn something today about this. So starting with the one that's so cool that the designer did, fucking love it. The spin in the wheel, the first time I see this, love it. I'm gonna start with something that I spoke in the video, but I wanna break down to make it a little bit more tangible. So what does that mean? Especially when you see this, so the milestone, the competence that is written there in the wheel is to be confident, humble, and vulnerable, to be able to solve something for the first time. We ask people to develop that attitude. And that's the face they make, of course, because how these three words come together, right? You're committed and you're humble, but then you're also vulnerable. But how can be vulnerable and humble and confident at the same time? How am I going to translate everything to whoever I need to translate, especially the clients, right? But this is there, and there's a way of tracking this, and there's a way of understanding if you're actually mastering that attitude or not. But breaking down what we're talking about when we're talking about being confident, it's about the decision that you make to do something, even when you don't know how you're going to do it. And for us, this is the most important thing, the decision that comes first. I'm going to do it. And I'll figure it out later how I'm going to do it. When the person who you're facing, selling something, working with, I don't know, understand the commitment, and also together with the idea of being really humble, right? What humbleness has to do with learning and listening, and the idea is to use what you're actually learning. So when you combine these two words is when the magic happened, in my opinion, when it comes to the attitude. So humbleness comes from the idea that you listen and you learn and you can apply what you're learning. And you don't think you're better than anyone. Why would you pretend you know something if you don't know something? But that's what the industry teaches us, right? To look good and to look like professional, you go to a meeting and you're what? You pretend, right? Instead of getting all that energy that you have to pretend and transforming into the right questions, to actually investigate, speak from a place of curiosity, rather than just, I'm going to show that I'm understanding right there. Because that's what I did back there, and that's why I failed really hard. Because at that point, I started pretending I was solving something, and I was not. But what I'm trying to say is this. I would love to say kill your ego, but it's impossible, and also we should, because ego is important. It's an important element of being human. Ego is a tool. It's good for us. Like, it helps us to understand who we are, how good we are. It's more about to chill your ego. Like, control, work on it, observe it, understand when your ego rises when you're in front of something that you don't know and understand, and why is there. So that's the exercise, that's the practice. I'm not saying that I nailed this. I started this with a picture of me and a video of me. So when I did that, I was like, am I being a little bit too egocentric? Maybe. But that's the practice. It's not something that you achieve and, ooh, I'm done, I'm free of my ego. Maybe if you were there inside the rock, like meditating, might get there, but that's not our case, I imagine. So that's the practice that we ask for people at Mesa to do, which is very unlikely, like when you look out there in the world. And the thing is, about being vulnerable, that I love, is the ability to feel and accept what you're feeling. But getting that feeling and putting it into work, let that feeling affect what you're doing, so you can actually genuinely affect what's happening. Like, I feel a lot of fear, a lot of doubts. I'm always like, am I making the right decisions or not? So every time I'm in that place, I feel like, how do I affect the solution that I'm creating based on what I'm feeling? And I think being vulnerable and have access to the feelings means that you have your sensors on, right? To understand the magnitude of your creating, to understand yourself, the things you don't know. You figure it out, like, oh my gosh, never been in this experience before. I didn't know I was reacting like that. For us, the answer is always do something. Don't stop when that feeling comes. Do whatever it takes. Ask someone to ask a question, but do something. Move towards doing something. And this is also what helps me in that moment when I'm feeling like this, to remember myself, because we are leaders that are very committed to the solution. And to be able to do that, we have to practice all this stuff. Is that it's not about you, but it's 100% up to you. And this is such a hard thing to do, because at some point you are there doing what you're doing and you're feeling like, but how am I going to look like? I'm going to look like that I don't know, I'm not enough professional enough, that I'm not blah, 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 I'm not blah, blah, blah. And the market, and the media, and the other artists, and then the dancer, I don't know. But we go to that place, right? Is that place solve anything, like in life, if you think about it? Have you ever delivered genuine thing when in that state of mind? So this is what I practice all the time. Like, this is not about me. It's about the problem, and I'm in service of that. Immediately you know the question that you're going to have to ask. Immediately you know the next step, what you do. Maybe not immediately. It takes a little longer, but, you know, you get there. So this is the first one. Are we good? Confusing? No? If it is, you guys ask questions later, and maybe I can make it easier. The second one is very, very practical, and it feels like it's very characteristic of the Mesa experience, but it's not, which is constantly translate what you're learning to the entire team, or to people, or to yourself. So really, the ability that you have to look at what you're doing and translate to the people, like, this is what I'm seeing, this is what I'm learning, this is what I'm understanding about what we're doing. That helps you to develop yourself inside what you're doing way more than anything else. The ability to look back and repeat to yourself, but repeat to people. But more than that, you get the people to where you are at, and the right questions will come. And I'm explaining this because we talk a lot about, building collective knowledge, collective intelligence, and Mesa is about that, or any collaborative process needs that. For me, that's how you do it. The ability to, like, tell people what you're seeing and let them react. Because what happens is, in a very practical way, and this is a very practical one coming from one that is very conceptual, but you eliminate all the debates around what you're doing. The debates of, like, getting the problem and dissecate the problem and talk more of the problem and then move forward. When you set a vision, when you share your vision, you're naturally building this collective vision about what's happening, and people start reacting more from a problem-solving perspective than a problem-maker perspective, which is just going around and around and around. How many meetings you have been, or group sessions that have been, where you talk and talk and talk and talk and talk and goes nowhere, right? If that leader that is in front of you, if you work for someone who just shared what he's learning about what they're doing, how much more efficient that work session or that session would be, right? So yeah, I already said that. This is how you build collective knowledge. Second one, I love this because I could do just one entire speech just about that, and we could talk about life, not even like work. But do not avoid conflict. Solve them. Address them all with intention to solve. Again, landing this in the work environment, how tough this can be. People who join us, who work with us, they cannot. If they don't do that, a Mesa will go wrong. Or, if it doesn't go wrong, you deliver a solution that is way less relevant than it could be. So the way we face conflicts, the way I learned how do I go through something, because it's so difficult, right? You feel like, I'm not a conflict solver. How am I going to solve, it's a client with an agency in front of me, you see they hate each other, what do I do? Or even I don't want to use just Mesa, but I was in the back there, a teacher, kids, or even a dancers, I don't know, people in relationship where a conflict exists. If you face that conflict with the intention to learn something that you might be missing and that the solution needs, and what you learn will shape that solution to actually be something that is relevant for people and for the world, you will not be talking about the people in conflict. You're free of that. You don't like, I don't care about these two people in conflict. What's important is to understand why and what is there. So to really, and you help the people in conflict, or whoever conflict's happening, to also focus on the right thing. So really approaching, like, it's not about you guys, it's about what you guys discussing or what's happening here and how this affects what we're doing. So every time we avoid conflict, we move away from delivering a relevant solution because we fail to consider all the important variables in our decisions. In your marriage, guys, like, it doesn't need to go that far, right? Like, we're talking about work experience, but this is what I've been learning and practicing when it comes to that, and it happens a lot, right? Second one, no bullshit. This one is an everyday practice, especially if you work in the advertising industry or in any other industry that, says a lot of bullshit. But we can cut that part, guys, because I have clients and they put the word. But no bullshit. Why is this a milestone? Why is we train people to not, to deliver value in every sentence they say? Because when you work in an environment where you don't have the answers, or when you are facing something for the first time, or building something that doesn't exist, at that moment where you don't have the answer, what do you start doing? Speaking things just to fill a void, right? So the best way to understand when you're talking bullshit or not is to really find the truth in what you're saying. If there isn't a truth there, you don't need to say. Or then you go find the truth. So what you say is actually something relevant, right? So very practical. If you need to use a jargon, or if you need to use a lot of adjectives, this is amazing. It's the best, beautiful. So you start going there, for sure, the value of what we're delivering, it's very low. And I'm being very pragmatic, because that's what we do. That's like, remember when I failed that promise, I need to be that pragmatic and in the learnings that I do. Not avoiding all the feelings I have, and that's the important thing, because it feels that you're like, oh, we're robots. No, you're not. Just calibrating things and learning how to deal with it. Moving to another one. Be open to constant learning. By now, I don't know, you can look at all of this and say, so obvious. Yes, it is in the obvious things that I believe is the biggest transformations. I really do. And when I say me, I'm saying me and everyone from Mesa that I work with, because it's something that we have been understanding together. But what I'm going to talk about here is, I'm sure all of you guys right now, if I ask you, are you open to learn? It's just like, of course. I'm so open to learn. I'm learning so much right now. I love this experience, like going and learn so much. But when the piece of learning touch who you are and how you do things, is when you understand if you're open to learn or not. Right? Like, honest, I'm talking about personal experience this week, building this freaking presentation. When someone said something to me, I'm like, I don't agree. Because I don't do this way. The person's like, find your way of doing it. That's not the point. I'm talking about this piece of learning that I'm sharing with you. And then I understood, open to learn, it is a practice. And if you are open to learn, you're going to start pretending and you're going to fail. But it is a practice. And because when something touches the way you are, we're built, from our experience, from what we know, from the things we talk about it. So that's how you understand who you are, right? So everything that get closer to transforming that, especially if you like that so much about yourself, right? You were like, no, that's a no. You close that door, right? Don't cross that barrier. In our environment at Mesa, this is one of the biggest learnings, because we are helping and moving people to change the way they think. I have no idea of the time. I finished already? I did? Oh my gosh. Fuck, I'm so sorry. Okay, I'm going to go fast. You understood what I said, right? Being open to learn. I think that's good. I'm going to go really fast now. How much time I can have right now? 2 minutes? We're fucked. Okay. So, take steps forward, even when you do, in a rehearsal, and it was 20 minutes, I swear to God. Maybe I'm, let's stop talking, let's do this. So take steps forward, even when you don't have all the answers. Think about your life, every moment you felt like, I don't know what to do. Probably the first thing you thought is, I'm going to research more, I'm going to stop, I'm going to think, I'm going to talk to someone, I'm going to research again, or I'm going to go back, instead of like, no, I'm going to give one step forward. and do something that I haven't done before. And this is the other thing that we practice the most. We know exactly when a leader don't do it, what happened. And this is so important because in this environment of solving things for the first time and building things that you never built before, showing progress is important, affects the system. If you give a step back, affects the system. What you're telling to people, like, we don't know exactly how to, like, I don't think we're ready to solve that. For us, that's not the environment that we want to build. It's helping people. When you give one step forward, you really help people to believe that that problem that you're solving, it's possible to be solved. And I learned this from this amazing guy called Ben Branzo. He's the founder and director of Open, which is an online progressive engagement network. He worked with Obama for many, I think in the first years of his government to help to mobilize people in America to participate in the government. And this sentence for me says so much, right? Mobilization without showing progress, demobilize instantly. So we need to show at least one little bit of progress so people understand that something can change, something can move, you can solve that thing. So at that moment that you feel like, I don't know what to do, and I'm not saying moving forward even when you don't have any answers. I'm saying you don't have some answers. We use the stuff that you know and design something that shows progress. This is the last one, which I love it, which is don't let, I'm saying problem owner because that's what we know we're mandala there, but let's say people, and people that you lead, don't let people trust the process. And we say that, we train people at Mesa to do the same, to say don't trust the process. Because processes don't solve problems. Who solves problems? People. When you tell someone, so believe, how many posters you don't see trust the process? If you trust the process, you are taking away people's responsibility for that problem. Their ability to make that decision, the ability to influence that solution. So we really, and this is like so deep and so important because even for us leaders, at some point, we say, I'm going to trust in the Mesa method. Something is going to come out of this. Wrong, I can't. I need to trust in myself. And it's like, trust me. That's what I say to my client. Trust me, so I am taking all the responsibility to me, right? And I'm also understanding like this freaking method won't solve anything because it didn't back there. It didn't. And I had the whole thing, and it didn't because I really, really gave up on leading. And that's, for me, the biggest learning. Leading is a decision that you make first, and everything else that comes after is to deliver that decision. The people that you work with, the process that you use, every resource goes towards that decision to build that decision. When I look at my mistake there, I gave up on leading, and I just let things happen. If I had said, I'm leading the shit, I'm going to solve this, I could have called someone, Barbara, and say, help me, and I didn't. So I think this is an important takeaway. And with that comes the sentence that also helped me to deeply, deeply understand that, and you can use that for life, which is everything is organized around something that you want to preserve in life. If you want to preserve your marriage, you change everything for that to happen. If you want to lead, you change everything to happen. You want to preserve your relationship with your kids that lives with their mother, but you cannot lose. And this I learned from Humberto Maturana. Search them. Him is amazing. He's a Chilean biology scientist and philosopher, author of The Tree of Knowledge. He has been studying the human existence and how relationship works. And that comes from the systemic thinking, which is like so beautiful, so important. So these are the things that I'm leaving for you guys as things to reflect, to explore, to read more. I have so many more slides, but I can stop right now if I have to. But I can go very fast. Very fast. I go very fast because it's pretty cool. And it took so long to build this. So all of what I shared and everything else that is in that wheel needs deep practice, right? And we build an environment for that. Oops, sorry. I'm going to start again. I'm just kidding. And we build a process for that at Mesa that help people to understand where they are at. So there are people that come to the company and start learning the method that wants to be really excellent right there and is putting and compromising excellence. And I had to say, oh, it's not fast for the sake of being fast. You need to be excellent, so calm down. There are people that are joining the company that are really, really good already leaders, but I need to prepare them to run a new software because everything we're going to learn is going to challenge everything you know. people that comes to the company and get the method and say, the method's going to solve everything. I need to help them to not do that. And people that comes understanding that, oh, I learned the method, I led 10 mesas, now I'm an amazing leader. No, because the black belt journey, become like a master in a practice, it's about how you do things and not about what you're doing. It's in the detail, right? You listen to Anthony, you listen to other people. It's like the way he prints the thing, it's on the how. It's not what. Making beautiful posters with nice sentences. We saw, a lot of people can do it, right? So everything to achieve this, excellence and high performance. And when I'm talking about environments for growth, when it comes to practice, that's what I'm talking about. Finding a mentor, someone that can really, really help you to see where you are at in the journey and can develop you from there. And also know what high performance or excellence is, so it can help you to take that. They can take struggle and transform into something that you can succeed. And deep practicing, repetition, repeat. That's what we do at Mesa, just repeat. And that's where you get the excellence. Look inside, and then it's really you facing yourself and the fears and your limitations and work on it, chill your ego and stuff. Reflecting on your experiences, really going back, understand what you're learning, identify the learnings, and get the outcomes that show personal growth. Because it's really easy for us to say, the process is wrong. Fulano, like that person, John, didn't deliver, so that's why I didn't deliver. Really easy to do that. And showing progress when repeating the experience again. When you go again to that thing, showing progress and applying what you're learning. So you can make mistakes. We can make mistakes. The problem if you're not showing progress. That's the only thing. We need to make mistakes to learn in life. But if you don't show progress when you repeat that experience, that's the problem. And there is no end. It's a continuous process of diving deep, looking inside ourselves in an attempt to be leaders who are committed to solve this, to the solution. And I want to finish this is my last slide, with this quote from Tamara Klink. She's a 26-year-old Brazilian sailor. Everything I know about leadership, not everything, but lately, she has been teaching me sobre leadership so much. She was the first woman to cross the Atlantic Ocean in a boat alone. Tell me about facing the unknown by alone. So to be prepared is being willing to deal with problems that arise. It's being able to learn how to do something you don't know while doing it. And these are the people who do the same that I do.
Solving a complex problem in 5 days is fast. But fast is not the focus. Fast is the result of radical efficiency, the result of having immediate access to all we need. The knowledge, the tools, the resources, and the authority to create, make decisions, and build. It's the result of altering the physics of work, compressing scattered time into a single week. In a singular space designed to manufacture solutions. That is what we do. We are the 59 leaders from 7 different countries who together have worked with over 3,000 of the most talented professionals of our times, across continents, finding whoever we need for over 300 missions over 10 years. When we get together, all of our collective knowledge is shared and refined, enabling us to overcome future challenges. We know that Mesa is where work, the perfect combination of pleasure and commitment, happens. And we know that being result-driven is what makes work great for humans. Mesa, 100% result-driven, 100% fulfilling for humans.
Thank you guys so much. Woo!
Thank you, Ligia.
I'm so sorry.
It's amazing. Oh, don't apologize. It's amazing. It's amazing. I think that, well, first of all, you and I were on the dance floor last night with Anthony as the DJ. I'm just going to keep bringing this up because I want more dancing to happen tonight. But, right? But I actually want to ask you a question around a dance of sorts.
Okay.
Which is that, bringing a table of people together to talk about vulnerability, to talk about the problem, and to sit in the discomfort of not knowing the solution is very tricky, as you mentioned in the presentation. And there's this dance that kind of happens where you bring in people maybe for a few times, but then what happens after? How do we create a long-term practice? Because this really is a practice, right?
Yeah.
Some days we're going to be great at it, other days we're not going to be so great at sitting in that discomfort. So how do you create that longer-term practice so that companies aren't just coming in, doing it once and then leaving?
Yeah. I feel like this is, and then maybe to sit in the right place, this is more, I think everyone that participated in Mesa learned this somehow and practice this somehow, right, for 5 days, really. We don't take care of the specialist process of learning how to work like this, but every Mesa, they leave transformed somehow. So they use elements of they learn in their daily life, right? And how much they can track and keep that going depends a lot on them. This is very focused on the person who is at the head of the table. And if that person that is at the head of the table practicing and evolving and showing progress in these skills, the specialists around the table will also learn about that by experiencing, by understand, like, what is an environment that is built for decision-making without bullshit, with very, based on sharing the knowledge, that leader at the head of the table being very vulnerable. Things that clients, the head of whatever at Coca-Cola, is not used to see it. When I am at the head of the table and say, I didn't understand absolutely anything of what you said, so let me craft this question to you. Can you tell me like I'm 5 years old? That's happened a lot because my English sometimes is not great, so I don't understand things. But so that's how I believe we can transfer everything that we learn as leaders who needs to deliver that experience so the specialists can learn by doing and by experiencing that, Did I answer your question?
Yes,
Cool.
learn by doing, learn by experiencing it.
Yeah.
All right, we have time for one one question in the audience. So who wants to ask a question?
I think he wants
Okay,
to.
you did raise your hand first, so we'll bring the mic over to you.
So when you said, trust me, not the process, this focus on yourself, doesn't this focus on yourself feeds the ego that you're trying to chill or kill?
I love that question because it can trigger. And that's why this is something that the practice of understanding when, you're feeling like, okay, trust me, I know. There is a difference in say, trust me because I know what we're doing. But you can say, what I want from that problem owner is like, trust me, so tell me what I need to know that I'm not seeing it. That's the sentence that needs to come after. Never trust me, I know what we're doing, right? Because that can really, what's going to happen to him? He's going to shut up. He's like, okay, that's me saying trust the problem. If I say trust me because I know what I'm doing, I'm focusing on the process. If I say trust me, so tell me everything I need to know that I'm not seeing it, what am I missing? The process, and I say, like, we have to say exactly the sentence. The Mesa method won't solve it. I will, because I'm committed to the result. And to do that, I need all the information. So tell me why you're nervous, what I'm not seeing it. And the answer comes, because we're working with decision makers. They know what's not happening, I don't know if I answered, but
so it's kind of trust me using the process.
I know. Like, the thing is that I know I'm being very radical, but like, I really don't care about the process at that moment. Because if I need to call someone in the middle of the Mesa that is not in the, he said, a lot happened before. It was not working, and I said, look, tell me, what do you need? He's like, I feel that we're missing knowledge from a specialist that is not in the room. I'm like, that's the only thing I need. I got my phone and called, like, we need to find someone right now to join us for 1 hour. This is me. The Mesa, it's not written anywhere in the Mesa method that say, call someone if you don't know what to do, So that, I don't even think about the process at that moment, because what you need is him to give that piece of information that you don't have that helps you to lead the team towards the solution. Of course, they're buying what we do because they trust the process, but I cannot use that as an argument to move forward, because then I actually will move backwards.
At the end of the day, it's people that make decisions. It's
Exactly.
people who make the decisions. Yeah. Yes, yeah. Hey, the work you're doing is incredibly important. Thank you so much for showing the light of that and the long-term practice of that. Give it up for Ligia Giatti.